Oh ho ho ho, it's that time of the year again, guys. Yay! In all seriousness, this has been such a great year for movies. 2019 had so many amazing films come out, but because once again I saw a lot, and I mean a lot of movies in 2019, there were just as a good amount of bad movies as there were good. So with before we get to that best list, we of course have to do the worst list because I like to save the best for last. But again, also because I am making my best list a top 20, I feel like I should just keep it equal. So this will also be top 20 worst movies of 2019, and we're just getting into right now. But before we do, guys, I do, of course, have a few dishonorable mentions, so we're just getting into right now. Starting off with, in no particular order, A Score to Settle, The Goldfinch, The Kitchen, Falling in Love, Wine Country, a Hallmark movie I watched because my good friend 22 Tiger Dude forced me to watch it. Thank you. Love Takes Flight, The Replicas, The Sun Is Also a Star, another Hallmark movie I was forced to watch, Over the Moon, In Love, Kim Possible, A Medea Family Funeral, Nancy Drew and the Hidden Staircase, Zombie Tidal Wave, The Intruder, The Hustle, and the Banana Splits movie. All of these films are terrible. They're all real stinkers for sure, but there are just 20 movies that are just a little bit worse. They're just a little bit worse that really grind my gears in a pretty big way. So of course we're going to start off right now with number 20. So, while 2019 had easily one of the best war films, I think, of the entire decade, it also had easily one of the laziest, and one of the worst, for sure, in, of course, Midway, a film that is so disconcerted about character, is so disconcerted about story. All it wants to do is just have an action sequence where there's these, like, video game effects going on, have actors that, while good, have almost nothing to do in the movie and really don't do them justice at all, have a story that is so boring and uninteresting, a movie that's just constantly meandering, and the best part of all is that it's from Roland Emmerich. Oh boy, what a great movie this really is. Totally not just really overly done at all, totally not just really boring or anything like that. And my god, Roland Emmerich, I don't understand why this guy made this movie. Like, who let this happen? Please, just stop. Like, if anything, I hope this film puts his career to an end, but it absolutely will not, because it did way better, because all the baby boomers out there love the film and things like that. And you know what? That's great, but for me, I think this is one of the most laziest and uninspired war films I've seen in years, and yeah, just stop, Roland Emmerich, please. Go back to doing those mindless disaster movies that everyone hates. This ain't it, Chief, for sure. This ain't it. Look, there's a lot of films out there, I think, this year that covered the Me Too movement pretty well and did it in a way that was nuanced and did it in a way that actually worked, but I don't think any of them handled it as badly as Black Christmas truly did. This is such a pandering and annoying film that really is just a message movie. It has no characters. It has almost no plot. It's all just about the message. It's all just about pandering to you, and it's about shoving it in your face. And it's just one of the most annoying films I had seen all year. The actresses, again, are not bad. Imogen Poots is a good actress, but when you give her this lazy role where she's just a girl that was assaulted and there's nothing else to her, it just does not work at all. And then everyone going off about that PG-13 rating absolutely being warranted because it just is so sanitized, and every single jump scare we just gotta cut away from. We can't actually show blood. We can't actually show anything that might terrify some people. No, we gotta be as tame as possible. We gotta be the woke version of Black Christmas, even though this series was never about that anyway. But why not? You know, if we shove that in there, people will like it more. And just go fuck yourselves, please. Can we just stop shoving random political agendas into movies just to make them better? Just stop doing that, please. Focus on good stories. If there's anything that we can do better this decade, just please stop doing that. Just please. That's all I ask. Alright, so we start of one of two animated films that somehow came into theaters. I have no idea how this ended up in theaters because, I mean, one, it was only in there for like 2 weeks, and I find it hysterical how badly this movie underperformed. But then I also think about just how much of a ripoff it is of a much better film. Clearly, this is not a film made because there was passion behind it, because, oh, we have a way to bring Playmobil to life and bring it in, you know, bring the world to life in such a way that it works. No, instead, we are taking a very, highly popular film, and we're just making the most uninspired cash grab possible, with actors that, again, are talented but have almost nothing to do here, with some of the most disgusting animation I've seen in years, that are so bland and lazy to look at, with just some horrible musical numbers and characters that we just have no idea to do with. In other words, it's the definition of the kind of animated movie I hate. Look, 2019 was a really bad year for animation, and Playmobil the movie is a very good example of why. It's so lazy, it's such a cash grab, it doesn't even know who its audience really is, and just overall is one of the most laziest animated films. It's not the worst animated film I saw this year, but it's pretty close for sure. It definitely is the laziest. Once again, another animated film that I question how it ever ended up in theaters. And look, yes, the cast is a good example of why, but when you just look at this animation and how ugly it is and how boring of a plot this is, I mean, the main character is literally some guy that's in a mailroom that is trying to prevent, like, the ice from melting. Like, what kid cares about this? What kid is going to be so invested and want to watch all that stuff? And hear Jeremy Renner's constant music just going on in the background while Jeremy Renner's on screen, because Jeremy Renner just needs to promote himself that much, I guess, because, well, he's not going to be able to do it for that much longer. Thanks, custody battles. You know, you got a cast here that is just, most of them are horribly miscasted. Animation, like I said, is just downright ugly to look at. And so many jokes that just fall so incredibly flat. And the fact this was only in the theater for like a couple days, it bombed so horribly, and it had, like, almost no marketing whatsoever. I mean, I saw the trailer a couple times, but I didn't really see any other marketing besides that. It's just hilarious to me. I have no idea how these animated films end up in theaters. Like, I'd really love to know that story. How did this not go to Netflix? Like, stuff like Duck Duck Goose and Next Gen and things like that, they've gone to Netflix. How is this the exception? How was this the film that they passed on? I don't get it. I mean, I guess when Netflix passes on your film, then your film really is that bad, and this film is that bad for sure. That's why it's in this list. And Jesus Christ, this was a bad year for animation. Look, I know you're gonna say Descendants 3 is a Disney Channel movie, so I should not expect that much out of it. But you guys know how much I hate these movies. I mean, this is a special one. I had to fit it in here because, look, there's a lot of franchises that ended this year. I don't think any of them ended as lazily and as unceremoniously as Descendants 3 really did. This is a film where, as you watch it, you constantly have to remind yourself, oh yeah, this is supposed to be the final film. This is where everything should be wrapping up. And instead, it just feels so uneventful. And it's because the villain of the movie is so bad. It feels so shoved in there. Of course, it has to be my favorite character of the whole series. We gotta bring Audrey back because, oh, we just loved her so much in the first two. We know how much I loved her especially. So we gotta bring her back just to piss everyone off, I guess. And that's exactly what they do, because they make her even worse in this movie. They make her so much worse in this film than she was in the first one, and they did such a great job with that here. And then, oh my god, the acting here. Everyone just being so not into this anymore. Dove Cameron especially, just sleepwalking throughout this. Sophia Carson as well, just not really being that into it. And then having Cameron Boyce and, well, the late Cameron Boyce, unfortunately, and Boo Boo Stewart be the only people that are into this, even though they have almost nothing to do in the movie. It's just great. It's absolutely great. I love how terrible most of the songs are. I love that one especially with, like, the Dancing Knights. Totally not one of the cringiest things I saw last year. I love the ending especially. It's totally not just another forced, like, political message that Disney tries to deliver for some reason. It's so great. I love it so much. Totally not one one of the worst Disney Channel films I've seen, and one of the worst films of the year overall. Great stuff for sure, Disney Channel. You just keep delivering. You just gotta keep delivering, and, oh, can't wait for Zombies 2 this year. Gonna be great. Look, not many people saw this film, and that's a good thing, because this is easily one of the worst films that Johnny Depp has ever done. Playing such a unlikable and just really creepy character. This guy that's constantly, like, hanging out with, like, teenagers and going as far as to, like, hit on them. One of them, he even has, like, a sexual, he even has, like, sexual relations with. It's just, stuff like that I really hated, but then you have him have this terminal illness, and it's played entirely like an afterthought, and then you have Johnny Depp just, like, sleepwalking through this role. You can tell that he didn't want to be here at all. None of the actors really feel like they wanted to be here either. This is just easily one of the worst dramas that I've seen in a long time. It's so forced. It's so hard to watch. It's a film that's incredibly cringy. You realize just how little everyone cared in this movie. It has one of the worst handlings, I think, of a daughter trying to come out to her parents' storyline that I've seen in a very long time. It's a film where I constantly want to root for Johnny Depp. I'm waiting for that comeback, but this definitely is not it for sure. This is not the film that's gonna bring him back anytime soon, and it's definitely one of his worst. Again, a lot of people didn't see it, and that's good if you haven't, because wow, was this cringy. Polaroid honestly was a film that I didn't even know if I could talk about in my worst list, because, as I said in my Catcher review, I did not know this film was actually going to come out, and unfortunately, to my dismay, it did, and Jesus Christ, it really is that bad. This is a film that is so generic, it has so many awful jump scares, and has some of the worst cinematography of last year with this boring grayscale throughout the whole thing, and then follows around this main character who is for some reason bullied for wearing a scarf, even though that's something that, like, everyone else does in the wintertime, but, like, I don't know, I guess they're trying to make her relatable. I don't really know what they were going for there. This is just a perfect definition of just the worst kinds of horror films. The horror films that are just so generic. The horror films that are just doing the same things over and over again and aren't trying to do anything different, aren't trying to do anything unique. That's why I hate Polaroid as much as I do. That's why Polaroid is easily one of the worst of the year. And definitely, it's a film that a lot of people didn't see. It's a film that I'm very happy didn't get a theatrical release, and it's one that I honestly feel should never have really come out, because it is definitely that bad for sure. It's definitely maybe the worst horror film of last year, and it might just be the worst horror film that was out there, and that's saying a lot, because last year had some pretty bad ones, and this might be at the top of the list, I must say. Oh my god, Polar. Oh, I forgot about how much I hated this shit. This film is just such a disaster in every way. It's trying so hard to be like the next, like, comic book, like, type franchise, and it's just failing miserably. You have Mads Mikkelsen, who is usually a really talented actor, just so bored in this film, not really wanting to be there, not really feeling like he's, you know, he doesn't feel like he's bringing something big to this film. And then you have the amazing performance of Vanessa Hudgens, who totally isn't miscasted at all, and then the villain in the movie, what was that? He has this weird obsession with, like, fingernails. Like, what was that? Why was that in this movie? I don't know. Why does half of this movie feel like a fucking music video and the other half feels like a John Wick ripoff? Like, what is this? What was the point of this movie? What were they trying to do here? I don't get it. There's a lot of bad films on Netflix, as you know. You guys know there's a lot of films on Netflix that suck. But this was definitely one of the worst ones. It wasn't the worst. We're gonna get to that soon. But I know I'm only in like in like the like number like 13 here, guys. But oh my god, I hated this one. Don't watch this if you haven't already. Easily one of the worst of last year. Oh, continuing with the bad Netflix films, yay, and, Oh, Rim of the World, one of the most annoying films of last year for sure. It's a film that, again, is trying so hard to be like this big, like, action blockbuster, but also like a throwback to like the Goonies or something like that, and it fails just so miserably. And the thing that I think it does the worst, besides the horrible CGI and the terrible dialogue, is that it gives you almost no time to invest in any of these characters. Really only one really sticking out to me all that much. With some of the worst dialogue of last year. One of the absolute worst performances from Benjamin Flores Jr. I don't like to hate on kid actors that much, but oh my god, this guy was terrible. They're trying so hard to make him like the goofy, like, black sidekick, and it does not work at all. An ending that I absolutely hated. There's so much I hated about this movie. It's so annoying. It feels so unbelievable in that way, and there are just so many scenes that I just really despised a lot. Look, I don't want to, I really don't want to trash on Netflix that much because they had a much better end to the year than they did at the start, but oh my god, we cannot forget, that being said, how terrible some of their movies were, and Rim of the World was absolutely one of them. Oh, Little, another great comedy that is relying solely on one joke. Oh my god, look how funny this little girl is because she's saying things that a normal little girl wouldn't because she's actually in this grown woman's body. Oh my god, so funny. Haha, isn't it so great to watch her flirt with fucking Justin Hartley? Not weird at all. Isn't it so great how not believable this young actress is? It's so wonderful. I love it so much. I love how Regina Hall was basically just a full-on cartoon character before she transformed. She was just this, like, hostile boss that was, like, just terrible to everyone. So great. Loved it so much. Especially love how the end of the movie, there's, like, no change for her at all. It feels like she hasn't earned anything. Oh, it's just so great. I love it so much. Just a great comedy. Just, this is where comedy's at for sure. Just, look, again, a lot of bad comedies this year, but Little was definitely one that I hated a lot more than most people. I think this is a film that is so ridiculous. It's a film that is trying so hard to make you laugh, and it just fails miserably. It's what I hate about a lot of modern comedies, and there's a lot of ones I hate, and I think Little's a very good example of them. It's still not the worst comedy of this year. We're getting to that. We're getting to that for sure, but it's definitely pretty high up there because, oh man, this sucks. Why was this movie made? Seriously, why was this made? Who thought that this was a good idea? The entire film of Tall Girl basically feels like a Saturday Night Live skit. It really does. It doesn't feel like a real movie. You have a girl who is being made fun of because she's tall, even though, you know, that doesn't happen. You have people that are putting her down and calling her, like, a giant and things like that, when just, that's not something that happens in high school. There are people that are tall. There are people that are short. There are people that are in the middle. They're not made fun of for their height. That doesn't normally happen. I'm not saying it doesn't, but generally, it does not happen. And it is one of the worst instances of a film that's trying so hard to, you know, raise awareness to teenagers and to appeal to them and to make them feel related to, that it honestly makes them feel worse. I can legitimately see people that are tall, they watch this movie, they'll feel like shit afterwards. They'll feel like absolute shit. And you can definitely tell from the terrible acting to the just downright cliched storyline to the certain twists it goes to such an obvious and stupid message that this movie has. Oh, I fucking hate this movie. It's so bad. Most people didn't even watch it. They just, like, watched the trailer off YouTube. And honestly, you're not getting much more out of the movie besides that. So just continue doing that. Don't actually watch this full thing because it's not worth your time at all. You pretty much know where it's gonna go. And don't watch it. Just don't watch it. Not worth your time. Look, again, Netflix does some great stuff, but when it comes to teen comedies, my god, do they fail. And this is maybe one of their worst ones yet, for sure. I I somehow was not one of the people initially dreading Cats. I really wasn't. I had a lot of hope in this movie. I don't know why, to be honest, because what we got here is one of the biggest disasters in musical history that I can think of in such a long time. The fact that anyone thought this was adaptable, I think, is hilarious. And what they did with it, it's just such a epic clusterfuck that's honestly pretty horrifying at points. I mean, naked Idris Elba as a cat, what the hell was that? And then what they did with Ian McKellen and Judi Dench's human hands that they still have yet to fix. They keep saying, oh, there's gonna be another cut. Where the hell is it? I don't know. I have many friends that have seen it. Nobody has gotten that new cut. So I'm beginning to feel it doesn't really exist. A film that has so many non-actors that can't really act at all, but also do absolutely nothing with them. And then having the main lead of Francesca Hayward, oh my god, one of the worst debut performances of the entire year for sure. Just so timid and unconvincing and just did not seem like she was ready for something like this at all. It has some of the worst CGI I've seen in such a long time, and effectively, I think, canceled Tom Hooper's career. Like, I know a lot of people don't like this guy. Well, you might have gotten your wish, because I don't think we're going to be seeing from him that much again. Remember when people thought this had Oscar potential? Yeah, that was pretty hilarious. Honestly, I got into debates with my friends about how this movie wasn't going to be that bad, and I really don't know what I was thinking. I really don't know what I was thinking at the time, because whew, this was such a train wreck in every way possible. It's one of the worst musicals I've seen in years, and again, the fact that it came out now when musicals are thriving is scary. This has me scared for musicals moving forward, and I'm really pulling for the ones this year. There's some great ones coming out, but my god, does it have a lot to do to be great, because look, it's not exactly a high bar to set, but my god, I need one of those movies, In the Heights, The Prom, West Side Story. I need one of those to be good this year, because even just a decent film will make up for the absolute shit stain that this was. Look, I already touched upon before, this is one of the worst years for animation in years, and I don't think any film shows that more than just the absolute disaster that was Ugly Dolls. I mean, this is a film that is designed to annoy you. I don't think it's designed for anything else. It's designed to annoy you, and oh my god, does it succeed at that. So many just annoying pop songs, so many non-actors in this movie that are just not good at all because, well, they're not actors. I mean, between Kelly Clarkson, the trio of, like, Charlie XCX, BB Rexa, and the other chick that I can't think of right now, Lizzo, that was it. I think Lizzo was there. And then a bunch of other actors. And then the worst one of all, casting Pitbull in this movie. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking here. The animation is just so nauseating to look at. It's a film that just annoyed me from pretty much start to finish. It tries to be, and then in the third act, it tries to be this, like, deep Pixar movie, and just, there's so much I hate about Ugly Dolls. I'm so happy that not a lot of people really saw it, because it was just such a disaster on all fronts. It's easily one of the worst animated films of the decade, and like I said, terrible year for animation, but I don't think anything came even remotely close to just how terrible and nauseating Ugly Dolls really was, because, wow. Oh my god, Jexy, just talk about one of the worst comedies I think I've ever seen. This is a film that is really just feeling like a bastardization of a far more complex film, Her, that handled this material so much better, having this guy that is so socially awkward, to the point where you yourself really don't like this character, to the point where he can't even talk to a girl on the phone. He doesn't know how to do that. He doesn't know how to have conversations with people. But then for some reason, this very girl that's creeped out by him initially suddenly likes him. And I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get a single thing about this movie. And then you couple that with some of the worst characters of the year. Michael Pena as, like, the worst boss ever, who is so, like, self-aggrandizing. He feels like he needs, like, this, like, music to play every time he enters the room. And then Rose Byrne, maybe the worst probably is the worst she's ever been. I can't think of a time when Rose Byrne was ever this awful before. And she is just annoyed me so much in this movie. The way that she is constantly, again, similar to Alexandra Shipp, hates the main character, calling him an idiot, calling him, you know, a doofus and things like that. And then all of a sudden starts to, like, be infatuated by him, and then, oh my god, just the scene of her and the phone sex, just, there's so much I hate about this movie. There's so much that this movie just does so wrong for me. It's one of the most overly raunchy films of last year. It's one of the worst comedies of last year, one of the worst cameos of last year with the Kid Cudi thing. I don't know what the hell that was about. There's just so much I hate about Jexy, and, some people like this movie, and that's great, but I don't get it. Easily one of the worst comedies I think I've ever seen. It's 6 fucking Marlon Wayans. What do you expect? I mean, seriously, what do you expect here? Look, obviously, a Marlon Wayans film, I've said it with many other films, but any year he has a film coming out, it's most likely going to end up in my worst list. But this is just one of his laziest to date. The whole film is just, he's trying to be like Eddie Murphy now. He's trying to be like Tyler Perry now, and he's just failing miserably. All of these characters, they just got more and more annoying as they went on. Some of them downright offensive. I mean, the one in the hospital especially, Jesus Christ. What they do with the girl, Marlon Wayans especially, is so stupid. The one that loves, like, all these, like, sitcoms from, like, the 90s, just so much terrible humor in this movie, and then the twist itself, who the villain ends up being, is so stupid and dumb. Marlon Wayans, again, I know you're a good actor. I really do. And I know he's got some good stuff coming out, but please, just stop making these kind of movies. It's not doing you any good whatsoever. I know you can do something great, man. You really can, but just steer away from these, and we'll be happy, and you'll also be happy, because you'll be doing stuff that people actually like. And isn't that what's most important? Isn't it? I mean, even Hollywood doesn't want you to do these movies anymore. Like, Netflix is the one doing these now. Can't you just, like, think for a second, like, maybe that's a problem? Maybe that's a problem, you know? No? Whatever. Fuck this movie. Andy Fickman and John Cena thinking it's the early 2000s again with Playing with Fire. One of the worst family-related films that I have seen in such a long time that doesn't even seem to know its demographic. Half of it has this very already outdated humor with, like, them referencing, you know, popular artists and things like that. And, we can have a scene of the little girl talking about her favorite, you know, rap artist, because that's just so funny. We can have a terrible scene with her making a boom boom and all this, you know, this, like, shit humor and things like that. And then, the other half can be John Cena shirtless, because that's what the kids are into these days, right? That's what they're into. And then this ridiculous My Little Pony subplot, which, why is that even a subplot? The fact that is in general, I think, is ridiculous. So many talented actors just wasted here. There's just so much I hate about this movie, and the thing I hate the most is that I had a poster for this film, just for meme purposes. Like, I bought it because, well, I didn't buy it, but it was at my theater, and I'm like, you know what, fuck it. I think it'd be really funny to own this movie, to own this poster, and now that I've seen this movie, I'm kind of contemplating whether to just, you know, rip this to shreds, because, I mean, there's some really great stuff on the back. I mean, look at all that great stuff there. You got a nice connect the dots game. You got a nice maze there, a nice spot the difference, you know. Just so many great things about this movie. So many things I love about it. Just a really, really great film overall. Definitely not one of the worst family comedies I've seen in years, and definitely really love it a lot. You know, that felt pretty good. It really did. I think I've gotten my anger out for this movie, but still not the one I hate the most. So, next movie. Just when we thought we were done with these really stupid teen romance films, we get After to show us that that genre is not going anywhere. Not only that, it's a film that was made on a Wattpad, because apparently those are taken seriously now, and the fact that that's a thing in general scares me. But then you couple it in with the romance here, which is so bad. I mean, you have this girl that seems scared by this guy at first, seems like she wants nothing to do with him, and then all of a sudden she's like into him. A common theme of a lot of terrible romance films of this year, if you haven't noticed. But the chemistry between the two is non-existent. Josephine Langford is no Catherine Langford for sure. They're trying so hard and it's just not working at all. You have this guy that almost feels like an incel, really doesn't feel like an actual guy, like how a nice guy would be. He just seems so weird and off-putting. There's just so much to hate about this movie. The cliched storyline, the way that her mother reacts even though she's in college, and the fact that she has a problem with her like having all this sex and things like that in college. It's just so many things to hate about this one. I really thought we'd be done with these kind of movies, but hey, they've greenlit a sequel, so I'm so hyped for After We Collide for sure. Gonna be great. Kill me now. Stop making these movies, please. Holy fuck, Hellboy. One of the rare films that I see in theaters that I have this desire to walk out. And that doesn't happen a lot. It really does not happen very often. Even though I see a lot of bad movies, I don't have this innate desire to just constantly walk out, that it's just boiling at me. But you know what? I didn't, because if I didn't, it would not be on this worst list. And I mean, where do I start with this film? A film that is so incompetently handled, a film that has no idea what it wants to be. It's downright ripping off other films that aren't even that good. Suicide Squad. It's playing all of this music that feels out of place. David Harbour just screaming at the top of his lungs constantly because that's such a great performance. And then fucking, you know, you got Ian McShane trying to be way too much like the original actor. And then you got that annoying fucking pig that I couldn't stand. And then Mila Jovovich, such a great actress. So glad that she was in this. Just so many terrible things about this movie. The horrific CGI that looks like, honestly, something that is worse than what's on the Sci-Fi Channel. It makes the Sci-Fi Channel and Sharknado movies look good. The story, which is such a clusterfuck here, it's just easily one of the worst comic book films that I've ever seen. It's a film that I can't believe that we got in the year 2019. You would think that this is a film that we're past, but the fact that we ended up getting it, and the fact that this film is a thing, the fact that there are certain things that happen in this movie that do, the fact that we have a whole subplot with him being like the son of King Arthur, and it makes no sense, and there's so many characters here that are just thrown in this movie, the fact that Sasha Lang is completely wasted here, the fact there's so many actors that are wasted here, the fact that this film was really just made in an effort to remake it. It wasn't made because of the fact that, you know, someone like Guillermo del Toro had a really great script. No, they just, let's reject it. Let's not ever make Hellboy 3. Let's just go in a direction of being this remake. Let's just do something completely different. We'll give it an R rating. We'll make it as adult as possible to the point where it feels juvenile. And that's what I really love about Hellboy overall. That's why this is such a fantastic film. In all seriousness, though, please, just, if there's anything that I can get out of this film, can we please just get that Hellboy 3 announcement? Ron Perlman has talked about it. Guillermo del Toro has brought it up. Just make it happen. Seriously, just make it happen so I can wash the taste of this movie out of my mouth for good and never have to hear about it again, and never have to talk about it again like I will when I'm done with this video. Oh boy, are we in the train wrecks now. The Haunting of Sharon Tate, a film so disgusting, a film so inaccurate, a film so disrespectful that I constantly question how it was actually made. How did someone look at this and think, oh, that's the one we should greenlit. Oh, that's the one that we should go with. This is a film that seems to have no understanding of Sharon Tate whatsoever, gives her almost no character other than she was a little bit, you know, she was naive of what's going on, and that her fate was always like predetermined and things like that, some bullshit like that. But the thing that Hilary Duff also being miscasted in like one of the worst, probably the worst performance she's ever given, so unconvincing, so cringy, just did not work at all. But I think the worst part of this entire movie is just the way that it basically exploits one of the most devastating and brutal murders, massacres of anyone ever. What happened to Sharon Tate is a huge tragedy for sure. And the fact that he essentially exploited it, and the fact that he tried to make it seem like it was something different than it was, that alone is what really pisses me off about this movie. And the fact that Daniel Farrens is a director that could be doing original horror stuff, but no, instead he decides to do it based off of real life tragedies, because that's not fucked up at all. That's not something that people are going to question him for. That's not something that people are going to get on him, and he's doing it for the exact reason that I'm talking to you right now. That's what pisses me off about this movie. That's what really annoys me when it comes to this film. There's so many things that I can go on about with this film, but I've talked about enough in my rant. It's absolutely disgusting. I can't believe a film like this really does exist, and I really hope that Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson is a film that almost nobody watches, because we gotta stop giving this guy attention. We cannot give this guy attention any longer, and I really do hope that the train stops here, because it just cannot get worse than this. It really cannot. And the fact that he's made, like, multiple movies about this, and he's still going, it's just so baffling to me. I can't believe that it's actually a thing. Easily one of the worst biopics I've ever seen, one of the worst... Actually, fuck what I said about Polaroid. This is the worst horror film of the year, without a doubt. The worst horror film of the year. So much terrible dialogue, so much bad acting. It's a film that's so offensive, it's so misguided, it's so horribly handled in all the wrong ways, and yet it's still not the worst of the year. There's one film that I hated just a little bit more that I can confidently say is one of the worst films I've ever seen. I think you guys know what I'm talking about, but it of course is... Where the fuck do I even begin with LaQuisha? Look, this is a film that started off as a meme, I remember. People were watching the trailer thinking, oh, there's no way this is real, there's no way this is getting released, and somehow it was. And the fact that it got any attention whatsoever, similar to Haunting of Sharon Tate, not only is, I think, incredibly disrespectful, but downright immoral. And the fact that Jeremy Seville thinks that he's like this great guy that knows exactly what he's writing about, he's so woke and he's the complete opposite of it, that's what really bothers me about this movie. Not just the horrible screenplay, not just the fact that this essentially looks like a YouTube video. It doesn't even look like a full-on movie. Not just the fact that the actors here are terrible, but it's the immoral sense of it all. I mean, this is a film that is essentially condoning this man donning this disguise and making him seem like he actually is a black woman, and the fact that nobody ever has a problem with it, nobody ever gets on him for it, and the one time when it seems like they might, they essentially say that it's okay. They essentially are advocating for it, and the fact that this guy's portrayed as a hero, the fact that the other characters are portrayed as not as good, the fact that there's literally a scene where a girl almost kills herself, and he tells her to just do it. Like, he doesn't even try to talk her out of it. He just tells her to do it because he's so annoyed with the world. The fact there's a whole scene where he goes on about how terrible women are and things like that. There's just so many things I hate about this movie. So many scenes I hate. So many things that just really baffle me as to why this was even greenlit. This is a film that is just so morally disgusting, and it's a film that I hate with every fiber of my being, and I can confidently say it's one of the worst films I've ever seen. I legitimately do not think it gets worse than this. He has scenes that just go on forever. He has scenes that mean absolutely nothing. It's a film that essentially feels broken. It really does. It feels broken in that way, and he just, again, shoved this message in here in an effort to make the movie look better than it is. But in doing so, you made the film look so much worse because of the way everything comes off. Everything comes off as like, this guy is so good for for what he's doing, and he's obviously not. This is such a terrible film with such a horrible message, and it's a film that, look, there's been a lot of movies on here you might be curious by. Do not watch LaQuisha. Do not watch it. There are so many better things to do with your time. There's so many better films out there to support, and this is the kind of movie that we need to be going after. We need to stop Jeremy Seville from doing this stuff, because it's dangerous. It's dangerous that he was able to make something like this. It's a dangerous film that is going to set people on the wrong path. It has absolutely the wrong message. It's a film that isn't even remotely funny. There's not a single thing in this film that made me chuckle. There's not a single thing in this film that I found even just a little bit amusing. Not to mention the plethora of jokes that almost aren't jokes at all because they're missing a punchline. It's just him saying something offensive and thinking, oh my god, that's so funny. But the worst thing about this entire movie is the fact that this main character is so reprehensible and never seems to even have an understanding that maybe what he's doing is a little bit wrong. Maybe what he's doing is hurting people. Never gets a clue about it whatsoever. And that's something that Seville has shown in both of his films and makes me come to the conclusion that he doesn't feel that he's doing anything wrong either. And that alone disgusts me. The fact this film exists disgusts me. The fact that people watched it disgusts me. The fact that I'm talking about it disgusts me. Everything in this film is absolute trash. I can't believe it's a film that exists, and I really hope I never have to hear about Jeremy Seville again. He's absolutely the worst performance of the entire year. It's absolutely the worst directing of the year, and I knew after I saw this movie nothing was ever going to top it, and thank God nothing did, because the anger and passionate hate that I have for this film is beyond measure. I mean, there's rarely a film that I hate to this level, and LaQuisha is absolutely one of the worst out there for sure, and is a film that, like I said, I just hope I never have to hear about again. There's nothing as bad this year as much as I hate LaQuisha. There's a lot of films I hated on this list, but nothing to the level of LaQuisha, and it's gonna take a lot for me to hate a film as much as I hate this one, because it's one of the worst ever made for sure, and it's one that I really hope none of you ever have the displeasure of sitting through. Well, that was tough, guys. It was hard revisiting all of these films that I really do hate, a lot of these films that I just don't want to talk about again, but at least we got out of the way. I know this was delayed. I know you guys wanted to see this for a while. I know you guys always enjoy this video, so I knew I had to get it out to you. But coming up soon, guys, I do have my last few movie reviews of 2019, and then I will finally put out my best list, so definitely look forward to that, guys. As always, comment down below. Let me know what movies you guys really hated in 2019. That's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.